Hi. Tonight is our finale episode of 30 Years and 30 Days, and I will be talking with Cathy Strack and Sean Gallagher about where we go from here.
Hey,
Hi,
there we
how are
go.
you?
Everybody?
Hi.
Hey, we match.
Hey, we
Wow.
nice.
Oh, I don't have one here.
Oh,
Aw,
I know.
sorry.
I know where you can get one.
I know. I
Yes,
have to have a home one now.
Yeah.
Well, so today's our 30th day.
yes, thank.
So, yeah.
Let me start by saying thank you to
Okay.
so very much. Your work, and helping and making this all happen, and it was Elaine's great idea. So, thank you.
Yeah.
And I think it's been very educational for a lot of people. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I've gotten a lot of feedback just at my studio from people.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have also gotten a lot of feedback, especially, when I'm teaching like throughout the day, especially the day, after when we do something, people will often say, how much they liked the interview, if we had a guest or, our discussion topics. And I think it's really good
Yeah.
to, yeah, learn. I mean, we talk a lot about Pilates history, but I think sometimes people think, oh, Pilates history like ended the day that like Clara Pilates died.
Yeah.
That's not the end of history. Like there's history that is going on to today, and tomorrow, today
Yeah.
will be history. So
Yeah.
history doesn't stop.
Judy, we don't sell the T-shirt. Comes from coming to the pillow. That's one of the grab bag gifts that you get. There's a grab bag when you come, and that's one of the things that everybody gets is a T-shirt from the pillow. Sorry.
We also
And the
sell
same
them.
with the metal cups.
Yep.
Yep.
Actually, the metal cup is special and
Yes.
just for Instagram
Oh.
Live. So you're the only person, Cathy, who has a metal cup right now.
So
You
Oh my
know,
goodness.
I know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
maybe
So
we'll
that was our
maybe we'll have to get them made and make them available.
yeah. Well, that was
Yeah.
our gift to you, Cathy, to thank you
Yes.
for
Oh,
joining
thank
us.
you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
for all your work on this project because it was a lot of work and is a lot of work. So we appreciate that from you. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. So let's see. I'm just going to go to my list of things here that we want to talk about.
Don't forget we gotta do this thing.
I won't forget.
Okay. Because I've been
And we
I've,
gotta do this.
right. I've
And
been
we
home.
have to do
I've been home
this.
for a week.
Ooh.
For a week now. So
You have a mystery box. I know because I gave you that. You don't
no,
even know what's inside it. So everyone will get to see you open your gift
this is like
later.
Christmas. This is like Christmas. My
Except the
birth.
box itself is
This
not
is my late
like
birthday
crushed.
present.
Is it a late birthday present? Is that what you said?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
It's not. No, I'll tell you what it is later
Okay.
before you open it. All right. So let's see.
Okay.
Should Cathy, do you want to start with a question or should I start?
Well, I'd like you to start with, telling us a little bit of the backstory of, you know, when you first met Sean and what your reaction was.
Okay. So I first met Sean in 2013, and it was because he was putting a workshop on at his studio in the city, and it was called Anatomy at the time, but now he calls it Understanding Joe's Contrology. But at the time, it had a different name, and I actually invited him to teach a workshop at my studio that didn't happen yet. So I was like, well, I should probably go meet him before he comes. So I went to your workshop, Sean, and I'm sitting there, and like within like the first 10 minutes, I was like, whoa. Like, I mean, I still have my notes, I still have all my notes from workshops I've taken, but I have my
Yeah.
notes from that day, and I look back at it sometimes and I see all these things that, we now call Seanisms. But at the time, I still love the Seanisms, but at the time, it was the first time I'd ever heard, these phrases, and they're just sort of like, were like these wow moments for me. And I like underline them and put like little stars because like, the things that Sean will say in workshops are very different than we normally hear people teach, very unique to his insight
Mhm.
and his thought process and things that he's like
Mhm.
researched and studied before, that I hadn't and that most people haven't, in Pilates. So that was like great. I was very inspired by that workshop, and I just decided to continue taking workshops and sessions with Sean over the years. And then I bridged, as we know, to his program. Then we started working together on, actually what ended up, why we started working together more is because one day Sean called me and he was like, do you want to teach Cirque du Soleil people Pilates at my studio? And I was like, yes. So I decided to do that. And I was going into the city 2 days a week to do that at the time when he had the show that he was doing with them. And that's how we started to work together a little bit more. And, we just ended up teaching workshops together. And he asked me to do the Pilates at the Pillow with him. And, we just sort of went from there.
And you realized all the archival work that was there.
Yeah. So, as we continued to do workshops, Sean would, because he also in his studio had archival pictures up on the walls and everything. And we would look at them, and we used to do a workout once a week, I think it was. We'd work out together in the city, and we would also look at the pictures on the wall and be like, hey, let's try that. Like, let's do that. And we would sort of like get to explore a little bit on some of the archival work. And then we were preparing, I think it was for Pilates at the Pillow, the first one. And, going to his property and, being in the original studio with the apparatus. And I started to get this sense of like how big, all of this information really was, and how much it is for one person to, have that responsibility, and, the work that it would take to refurbish the studio and restore everything. And I just thought well, I think that he could use some help. So being interested in archival work because of him, and realizing that how much work it really would be, I thought, how can we, get some of this information out? What can I do? And I thought to myself, how can I help Sean to get the information out? And besides the workshops, and just to even do the restoration, all that stuff that's a lot, especially because he has his PT business and Pilates studio. So at the time he had his Pilates studio and his PT business, and the other things that he does. So it's like a full-time job in itself, just the restoration. It's a lot. So, that was my first instinct was, how can we learn more from all of this and preserve history? And my first thought was, well, what can we do to help him? So, that's what that's what we did. So that's when we started, the raising of the money and the work weekends, all the things that we've talked about that over these 30 days basically came from, Sean's work that he had already been doing. But then also, the decision to step in and help, and other people, since have also joined in and helped. And it's become like a community, of people who were all interested in history. And it really takes all of us, to work together to keep learning and keep the history alive and keep teaching it to our clients. It takes that is something that we talk about at Pilates at the Pillow is, once we learn this information, it's really up to us to be the teachers of it.
To take it out.
So it takes all of us. So that's, I guess, the story as to how we, started working together, and how we started to, what was my inspiration in all of this.
How can you help?
Help because she'd see a picture of something, and then we'd be up at the house, and I'd be like, oh, I have that in the closet.
That was so funny.
It's the special box that Joe had, and she was asking. I'm like, yeah, I think I have that. I think that's in the, and it was.
Yeah. And there was a picture. There were these pictures. It is the exact
it's just
box.
So much.
Right. It's the exact. And then there was that scale. I'm like, oh yeah, I have that scale's in the basement.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it was the same scale that's in the pictures. So, like all these little things that, we didn't notice. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. That was so funny. We were watching a video archival film, and it was it just went by, and Sean was like, wait a minute, rewind. And he pointed in the background. He's like, that scale. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I have that scale in the basement. I was like, what?
Just, oh yeah, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. That was really funny.
And the first workshop I taught at Elaine's was the history of exercise.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
up until 1945. That was my, because I've been interested in, I've been collecting old books on exercise, medicine, and health for almost as long as I've been a PT, so almost 40 years. I have, you can.
yeah. Oh no, I've seen you in action at the bookstores.
Right. So I have, a lot of books on exercise history. And one of the things that I did, that's one of the things that I've been able to do is look at Joe's work and look at was, before him, during him,
Yeah.
and I don't look so much after, because,
Yeah.
but during and before, and when you look at the see that there's a lot of the exercises are not new necessarily, right? They're new in the sense that how they're done on the apparatus and the different apparatus, but like the mat, and there was a book that was published a couple years before Return to Life, I think 2 or 3, and exercises are extremely similar. I mean, they're almost like, oh, well, that's there's this, there's the spine stretch forward, there's the plank,
Yeah.
There was a big difference. And the difference was it was like 40 to 100 repetitions for an exercise.
Ah.
And other things, and others, he had it sequenced, but that's like, and that was one book. So there's lots of, people have done, exercise wise, there's only so many ways you can do things, right? And that's
right.
body's sort of, restricted in all those ways.
Yeah. I like to say that, Joe didn't invent exercise. He just put it together in a very unique way.
Right. Well, but but it was his invention of the apparatus that's the genius. It was using the springs and the spring settings with that apparatus does a certain thing to the body because it, when you get on that apparatus, the chain closes and it's all interconnected. So it's full body workout on an apparatus, and that makes your body do certain things that nothing else does.
Right.
Unless it's been based on Joe. Before that, with nothing else before that I can tell was ever did that. And he organized it, put it together in a systematic way, which is a whole different thing. And so, all right,
where's my button? I want to push the little heart button.
I don't think we have those. But I want to give a little bit of advice to everybody who's listening or watching, and that is, in that moment when I said, how can I help you? That was when, actually Sean was like, well, why do you want to help me? Because, a lot of things have happened as we've talked about over these 30 days. A lot of things have happened. A lot of people have come and a lot of people have taken advantage or, lots of, things up and down always, like everybody's life, right? Everybody's business. So, rightfully he was like, well, why do you want to help me? And I was like, well, because I believe in what you're doing and what your work is. And I want to help you accomplish that. And when we started to work together like that, like the whole world opened up, to me, as far as knowledge and learning and Sean's guidance and teaching. And, it's been great. So, and it's with sincerity that I thank Sean for these things, because, I don't just thank him here. I mean, I thank him throughout daily life too, when it comes up, and I feel very grateful for all of that. But my advice for everyone is, if you're interested in history and the archives and the museum and the apparatus and all of these things, come help, join in and help and become part of the community of people who are helping and are learning together. And that's, it's just basically waiting for you to apply yourself to it. And I mean that. It's like, it's the best advice I can give. If you're interested in and you want to learn more, then participate and become part of it, because that's where it is.
Well, if you look at Joe's history, and there's plenty of documentation that shows that he also got taken advantage of and was, different things. I did what I tried to do because I bought the business and I continue with the business, the people who owned the business before me, Romana, Mr. Steele, Mr. Stanton, Weetai, all those different people. I continued what they did, and I tried to make sure that Joe's work, the way he wanted it, the way he said he wanted it to be, would still, would be there, and that's still the goal today. I mean, that has changed, and now some people don't like that idea, and they get all bent out of shape, but they've also, they've gone to dark places, and I just keep trying to go to the positive, and when something comes, I am suspect, because I've also had some people that I've provided, they come and they do stuff and then they take advantage of it. So that's part of it. So, but if I see that you're genuine, I'm willing to share whatever you can come and join, and you can participate and be part of that whole thing. And it's all, and Romana was no different. Romana, she didn't give you, you had to go, you had to commit, you had to do the work. And after she saw that you were not just somebody that was going to come in and, like try to get something and leave, and, spent the time, she would start to open up and give. And that's how, and I spent, 12 years with her opening up more and more all the time as far as the team else. Yeah. And I'm trying, I try to do the same thing. And like I've said in this before, I want anybody that studies with me, I want them to be better than me, because that's how it works, and that doesn't really happen.
That's how it's supposed to work.
Well, that's what true teaching is, and a lot of people they don't really teach. They're using it for ego and this and that, and you get information, but I try to do it in a different way.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of comments where there was a lot of people who have come to the work weekend. So I see Cathy saying helping out there is so inspiring. That's great. I see Mary, she may be gone now because she said she has to teach in a few minutes, but she's thanking us for these 30 days and that she would love to participate. And then there is the question, how can we help? So, we can talk about that in general. I mean, maybe not right now, but what we're trying to do, part of what we're trying to do with these Instagram lives is be able to bring the history to people who can't necessarily right now actually literally come in person. It's not feasible for a lot of people to travel right now to literally show up at the door and help on the work weekend, or to maybe attend Pilates at the Pillow. So we're trying to share history as much as possible through our Instagram posts, through these lives. So I think that even viewing the lives and commenting and sharing with your friends is actually participating in the sharing of information and is actually helping to spread the word of Joe's work. Sharing
the information through this is the biggest deal.
Yeah.
So we look at a lot of the other people that have a history, by doing this, it's now there, where a lot of times doesn't happen, and then we're going back trying to figure out what happened before. Well, we've just spent 30 days going, well, this is what happened. This is what I did, and so now it's there. Now we have a record of what's there, and people can they can look at what we've talked about and shown and everything in the last 30 days, and they can listen to what some of the the few that are out there that are negative, and then they can compare and decide what
they can decide.
Right, and then that's fine.
So, Elaine, to back up a little bit, how did you come up with this, 30 years and 30 days idea in the first place? And how did you even organize the information?
Well, it was sort of a group effort, but it occurred to me this fall that Sean had in 92. I knew that in 92 he had purchased the business. So I was like, wait a minute, 92, next year is going to be 2022. That's 30 years. And I was like, that's a milestone. That's a long time to own a business. Yeah. And to, stay as consistent as he has been with what the messaging is for the business. So, I wanted to, give him, I guess you could say, well, I usually do every year I do this video in the Pilates questions forum, a birthday video, for Sean, you've seen. Yeah. So, it's usually a recap of moments throughout the year and say happy birthday. So I said, well, I'm going to make, instead of a birthday video, we'll do, a project. And we had originally thought it was going to be a 2-week project. So we said, we'll do an Instagram live, a couple days over 2 weeks, that kind of thing.
And why don't we do 30 years and 30 days? So great.
Yeah. And then,
part of it, if you try to do too much and we talk too long, and we've done that a few times already, but I guess some people still watch. But you don't want to make it an hour and a half every time, because that it's too much. So like a half hour deal. It was like let's do a whole bunch and then we can get. But there was so much to do. It's hard to do it without doing it in 30 days really. And there's still things that we haven't discussed. So.
But like what I wanted to do was because in my work with Sean, we've talked, and he's told me these things. I've known all these things that we've like hit on each day. Something, I mean, I knew about them because he told me about them. So I knew that he worked with Stamina. They started the first teacher training program. Or comprehensive training program. They made the first teacher training manual. All these things like that I had known about, but I realized that like a lot of people actually didn't know about all those things. So I was like, all right, well, let's make a list of all these things, and then we'll I tried to I've asked our guests to join us, and the response was amazing. So I was really inspired by everybody who joined us, who were our guests this past month, because some of the responses were like, I would be honored to participate. I would love to join you. Thank you so much for asking me. I'm really looking forward to it. So there was this great response of support and admiration for Sean, and their memories, were, they love to share their memories with Sean, because, of how much, he's done for everybody and the guests and then therefore all of us.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. So Cathy, how did you, what I asked you to join us and to present this, but what is your, what is your background in working with Sean, and why did you want to participate in this?
Well, for one, you asked me.
You could have said no.
I mean, it was that simple. It's like, sure, why wouldn't I? Yeah. I have to say that I believe in both of you as people, and I believe in the work that you're both doing, that you have been doing all these years. I first met Sean, after hearing all the boogeyman stories. I called him one day and said,
not John.
Writing a biography.
I'm not.
What's that?
Not John Wick.
Oh.
In the movie, they call him the boogeyman because he,
Okay.
So, not John Wick.
No, you're not. You're really not. But I knew that I would have to be talking with a lot of different people to tell Romana's story. And I thought, who do I want to start with? And Sean was one of the first people, and I just reached out to him and we started talking. And, I've said this a couple days ago, I think I've lost count of how many times I've interviewed him for that book. And I've just kind of over the years become familiar with his work. He's always been very kind to me, shared information. But it was similar to, if you just approach with kindness, and I would ask. I didn't demand. I asked, well, what about this? Or, what about this? What's that?
I said, I haven't always said yes.
No, you haven't. But when you've said yes, or you've opened up the archives for me to do some research, it's been this interesting relationship, because it's like you let me have some access to some of the books and the records, and you're like, okay, go through this, but when you're done, if you're going to compile this information, share what you've compiled with me. So that made it that much more special, because it was like, oh, I'm creating a record for you of this little slice of the archives,
right?
And so it was that give and take, like, all right, if you want to, and it wasn't like a command, but it was like, well, while you're doing this, share the results of your research with me. And it's gotten to the point now where it's like, when I find something, I haven't found much new lately, but we'll be talking. When I find something, it's like, I gotta send this to Sean, like the will.
Right.
Like Joe's will,
Well,
like,
appreciate that because finding that, but it wasn't just Joe's will. It was the fact that Mr. Steele was the person who took
Right.
And when I was in court, and and I read his book, and he tries to make me look at like this person that did all this stuff, and who's the one who lied to the federal judge twice? Wasn't me.
Yeah.
It was him.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a.
And we have the evidence.
So that
But see, it's that partnership that that wouldn't have meant much to me, except apart from it being Joe's will. It's like, oh, I think I just found Joe's will. Oh my gosh, and all these other records, and on itself, it really is significant. But then when we talked, it took on a whole nother level of meaning. So, working alone is one thing, but then collaborating brings just new life to all this Pilates information.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
We have conversations like that too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, like Sean and I will be looking at a picture and I'll be like, oh, look at this. And he'll be like, look at that. I'm like, wow. It's like 4 eyes basically is better than 2. And then something that somebody knows about something that you didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
They start talking about what they see because based on what they already know. And you're like, I didn't even know that. Like, wow, that now this means so much more. So I totally agree that working with others and working together is like amazing.
That's what we share at the Pillow when we go the deep dive into the archives and the apparatus.
Yep.
Also, and trying to look. Joe's not here. He's never going to.
Yeah.
We're never going to be able to do that again. But we try to get as close as, and that's the goal for me. It's like getting as close as possible, and trying to maintain that as long as possible, so that it doesn't get lost. Because if you look at what happened since I've lost the trademark, the last 20 years, the name Pilates means what? Anything and everything.
Anything.
If that keeps going, I just heard somebody recently say, I don't think Pilates will be here in 10 years. Well, if nobody's doing what we're doing and maintaining the history and the quality and, all that, then they're right. Because, people like that who add yoga and all these other things. And it's not that it's bad. Listen, I studied with that younger. I've mixed a lot of things. But there's a difference between that and being able to have the quality of the work and make sure that there's a source for that. And that's what we're trying to do is make that source and then provide it to teachers. So like you guys said before, they go out and that's what's taught, and it is one at a time or 40 because, at the Pillow. So.
Well, and I also want to just add a little bit of something so that just to say what you said, Cathy, about how Sean hasn't always said yes. He doesn't always say yes to me either. Like at all. So, but what's been actually really amazing as far as growth for me personally and professionally is in respecting the answer. So just because, I might want the answer to be yes, it's not. And I'm, I reflect on that and I think like, well, why is the answer no? And I start to actually see things in a deeper way. And to, see things, from his perspective, which has, 21 years more experience than me and age wise. So, and that's, that's like a big deal, to have to be able to step back from your own ego and what you might think you want to do in the moment and just say, okay, well, the answer is no, and that's okay. And I understand, or even if I don't understand in the moment, I'm like, all right, let me sit with that for a little bit.
You respect it. You respect the decision.
Yeah. So that's, even the no is actually, turns out to be good, in the end, because it's just makes you think in a different way than you were before.
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to add too, you asked, why did I do this? Part of it was, I was just over there on Facebook all the time. I was just kind of existing on Facebook. And then I thought, well, I better check out this Instagram thing. And so I had, started to get used to Instagram a little bit. And so this project really taught me a lot about Instagram, about the power of doing these talks. It's been great to be a part of it, but also just a personal challenge to, coordinate my glasses with my shirts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. I really love that.
So.
All right, cool.
Okay. So
All
where
right.
do we go next? What's
where do
going
we
to
go?
happen to all these videos?
Well, what my plan is after tonight, they're all going to stay here on the Pilates Source page. So, you can
Mhm.
always watch them again, or if somebody didn't know we were doing them, they can see them anytime. They're always going to be here. And I'm going to take them all, I've downloaded them all, and I'm going to edit them, edit out the long pauses and things like that, and compile them, and then we'll announce where they're going to go once I finish up that portion of the
Cool.
project. Yeah, it should take
Okay.
probably, I don't know, maybe a month or less, probably, but we'll see.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll put them all together into a compilation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there going to be more interviews?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 We've decided that, there's been a lot of positive and, during the pandemic, we did 2 weekly readings, live,
Yeah.
read books. We did a lot of stuff. And then when it looked like things were getting better, we were just like, okay, we'll stop. We've helped out, and we spent a year doing that, for free. And, but then, things got bad again. And after doing this, we realized that there's still a lot of history that can still be discussed in interviews with different people over the years. And like I'm going to try to do something like that. So there's going to be more. We're going to try to do most likely a weekly thing. We have
Yeah.
we have the Pilates
Yeah.
Historics, which is where we're reading the articles. So
Mhm.
now this is done. We're going to pick that back up, and then we'll do this once a week as well. So there'll be, again, we're going back to two nights a week, or different times. Probably set time. We'll have to figure out the times for sure. But yeah, twice a week, people will be able to join us.
Yeah, interviews
Good.
and
not charging for,
talks.
come and have information.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Cathy, I was going to ask you how, what your relationship has been like, or what it's been like working with Sean, but you sort of answered that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you have anything else that you want to add as far as like, what you also plan. Do you have any, I know you're writing your book.
Well, I'm trying to finish the biography of Joseph Pilates. Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not, for me, it wasn't just about doing the research for the Ramana book and the Joe book. It's, I've driven out a couple times. I'd get up at 2 a.m. and drive out for those pillow work weekends, and
Wow.
just it's like an 11 or 12-hour drive.
Yeah.
But I'm just so psyched to do it. So, because I know that Sean's heart is in the right place and your heart is in the right place, and it's good work. It's important work.
And it's also,
So
we have that Pilates Nerd Weekend that you can't get anywhere.
you really can't. It's
It's about as nerdy as it gets.
it really is.
It really is.
It's like, oh look, here's a scrap of leather that Joe touched. Oh my gosh.
I know. We're like, what are the dimensions of the leather? Well, one time when we were doing, it was Holly and I, we had taken the frame, the door, like the first door frame off of the studio, and there's like in pencil, there's like numbers. Like, how what a carpenter or something would just jot like the measurements of something down.
Yeah.
Like, on the wood inside behind the door frame, it was on the wall. We were like, oh my God, like Joseph Pilates wrote numbers that whatever. But that's the thing, is that you're like there with other people who are also like, we all equally are like excited about like numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it was anybody else, they'd rip it off and they wouldn't even pay attention and just what. But you're God, that Joe? Did Joe write that?
What does it mean? It's code for something. It's the golden ratio.
Oh, well, I think
Anyway, so Sean, what are your goals and plans for your business and for the archives and for the Pilates Source?
Well, it's the same. It's pretty much the same as it's always been, which is maintaining the quality integrity of the work and making sure it's that work and, you know, his way of doing things and his ideology and his system is here for generations to come. You know, I mean, all these other, you know, places, you know, and everybody's doing everything to make money, and we all have to make money, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to do it in a way and, you know, organizing the business. I have now trademarked a number of different names that I'm using, and they're, you know, and they will be, you know, people join and want to do what we're doing. They can use the trademarks and they'll be, you know, there'll be licensed and, you know, building the business that way. And that's a way to build a business. And, you know, that's what I had originally wanted to do. And, you know, and I'm not worried about, I'm not trying to have everybody, you know, and I've told you this from the beginning, you know, if I have one or two people come and do the training, but they're going to be life, you know, it's going to be their profession for their life and that's what they're doing. I'm okay with that. I mean, I obviously it would be nice to have a few more, but I also I'm not going to bring 40 people into a training because you know, I can make the money. That's not what it's about. It's, you know, it's trying to find a nice balance and have enough equipment and do it in a way that people can really get the work as best as possible. And it's not just Joe. It's also, I mean, you know, the training is Romana's training.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's the manual. It's the same program. You know, it's the program that we did together and built over the years. You know, for those 12 years that we worked together before she went to Romana's Pilates.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they've changed what they do, but you know, maybe it's the same. I don't know, but this is what we're doing, and I'm infusing it with the science, and I'm infusing it with the archives, and we're doing the pillow, which is different. And you know, I think at some point, you know, there may be other things that we'll do that way, but I'm not really sure exactly yet. But it's being able to build the business in a way that it'll last, and part of that is, you know, it's bringing it to the community and offering it to the community. And you know, I mean, you know, the archives I bought, I own, and I protect them. I mean, you know, some people don't like that I protect them, but you know, I own them, and that's you know, that's the difference. But I also have been sharing them since the very beginning, and I will continue to do that. You know, I have a couple things in the pipeline. There's posters and different stuff and different things.
Yeah.
That's going to be the continuation. So eventually, you know, a lot of it will be out there. You know, maybe not all of it, but a lot of it. And again, you know, the whole point is to be able to, you know, make sure that Joe's dream is not his name everywhere. It's his work everywhere, and that's the difference. The name is everywhere, but the work isn't. And I think that's, you know, if anything, the goal would be to try to make sure that there's a place, you know, in every country that's doing, you know, because now Pilates is around, the name is around the world, and some of the work is and some of it isn't, but to make sure that there's a place in every country so that if people really want to get that, they can do it. They can make that happen. Because that's what Joe wanted. That's the dream. And also to be able to do his thing in the Berkshires and you know, the property, you know, there's about 20 acres, 21 acres or 19 or somewhere 19 to 21. It depends on what document you're reading. But, you know, that allows for, you know, the studio's done. That allows for the bungalow to get done. That allows for another, you know, bigger studio to be built and make that happen. So in the Berkshires, to me, that may be the place, you know, do the trainings there and, you know, certification and a nice, you know, where Joe wanted it done. I think that's kind of the goals.
Nice. Those sound great.
Yeah. And so if he's interested, you know, again, you know, if you want to come and join us. You know, if you're
I saw some comments. How can people know when those work weekends are?
Well, we're gonna.
How can people find out?
We'll probably be announced. I do it on social media, and it'll be on, you know, my Facebook page, and I do it on Instagram as well. So that we'll be announcing. We have to do a couple things first. We're almost ready to start that because, you know, it basically, it's usually after the pillow, and the pillow is the end of April. So it'll be probably more likely May, June, one weekend in May, one in June, one July, one August, possibly September. So 4 or 5 weekends, because in September we have we'll be, you know, we're meeting with the pillow on Tuesday tomorrow. So hopefully we'll have the September weekend, and we won't do it in September then if it's depending on when it is.
Yeah, really busy. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, I
Okay.
don't want to go for too long because I don't want this to get cut off because they just do an hour
Yeah.
on Instagram, right? But
Yeah.
before we do the raffle, I think Sean should open a gift that we got him to celebrate his anniversary of 30 years in business. So let's see what
All right.
it is.
I shook it so I couldn't tell.
Because it's all packaged up. I guess I didn't, there's no wrapping paper, sorry.
Well, it's bubble wrap, so it's good.
So that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Drum roll, Judy says.
This is really cool. All right, so
I don't know if people can see. Okay.
The Source logo.
is this
Yeah.
a watch? What is this? Let me see.
No.
Oh, check it out. The compass.
There you go. And
And
what
it
does it say?
It's a compass.
1992 to 2022, celebrating 30 years of educating from and returning to the source. Wow.
Wow.
Thank you.
Very
guys.
nice.
Thank you,
Yep.
Elaine. Cool.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. Compass, like the guide, to go to and from. I thought it went with a source.
Yeah, and this is good because
Right.
it has a button, so you can, if you do this, it does, and then when you know exactly where you want to go, you can lock it down and go, okay, that's where I gotta go.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it has another little button. I don't know what that's for, but it's cool.
I can honestly say I've never picked up a compass in my life.
Well, having been the Cub Master and the Scout Master,
Yep.
we taught
Yep.
with teaching orienteering and all that stuff. Very important.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
the difference is, though, most of the time I wouldn't need one because if I go someplace and I see it once, I know how to go back and find my way.
Okay. See, first of all, I knew that you were going to say that. Okay. But I figured then if you didn't need to use the compass, you could use it with your pimp stick for a selfie.
That,
All right. Think about that moment.
Okay. Well, you know what?
All right.
Yeah, but you see now that means I have to fly with it.
Oh, don't you
And-
have one in the Berkshires?
Well, yeah, but I have a pimp. I have, since I've been called, Romana's pimp, I decided to get my original hiking stick that's like 30 years old. That was my first one. And then I made one up in Massachusetts, and I also made one in Mexico because I'm going there,
There you go.
to teach.
Yeah.
So I think
basically wherever you pimp.
every place that I have a training center where we're going to teach, guess what I'm going to get? I'm going to get a local stick and make it a Pilates pimp stick.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
now you have a
But there's
compass.
only one compass.
That's right.
Right. But the problem is when I travel,
Yeah.
I usually don't check a bag. I put everything. I can.
Okay.
I do. Carry on.
You
So
can't carry it with you?
well, I guess I probably
Yeah.
metal. They
It's like
probably
pocket size.
I guess there's not a knife or anything in here, so it's probably okay.
No.
But I hate to see the problem is if you take something and they say you can't have it, then you
Yeah.
lose.
Well, you don't have to take. It's just a memento. It's just,
Thanks for participating and joining and
yes.
sharing and
Yes.
all that. It's been great.
Yeah. So finally, I want to thank everybody who's been joining us on these lives, and then for those who can't join us live, for commenting, for sharing with your friends, for telling us how much you enjoy it, and thanks. It's just nice to know that people are interested. I thought that they would be because I find it interesting, and it is interesting. So thanks so much for everybody for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you on the next ones that we do ongoing as well. All right,
Thanks.
great. Well, thank you.
Really want to.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you to our audience.
Yeah.
This was great.
Yeah. Oh, there's Jackie. She's there.
Yeah, she
You
said
won,
she-
Jackie.
good.
I didn't know that. I didn't see her name. Oh, good. Oh, cool. Oh, everybody's comments are so nice. So thank you
Thank you.
all.
Oh.
Yeah.
And again,
Yeah.
I'm humbled by you guys and everybody.
Aw,
Aw.
Appreciate
cool.
it.
Awesome. All
Bye.
right.
Well, that's
All
all
right.
positives out of the negatives.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. All
All right.
right. Thank you guys so much.
All right.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
You won.
Bye.